you got going on?
Man, typical Tuesday, just working through emails and making some calls. I have a real estate fund that I run
Yep.
called Blue Thunder Fund. So just recruiting like Notre Dame alumni on this project that I'm working on, and then just staying in the coaching sphere. Uh, Always staying up on football for my coaching perspective, but also just the analyst work. So
Yep.
football is always a lot of drama involved, and I'm excited because it's the best weekend of the year, or the best
Yeah.
holiday of the year, and that's the
Right.
Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
it's going down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting. I do want to talk to you. We'll get into this about the fund you mentioned. We have a fund as well, a real estate fund. So I'm sure there's some carryover topics that we can chop it up about. But Malik, I'll go ahead and just kind of intro us in real quick, man. And so everyone, thanks for tuning in and thanks for watching. Again, this is season 2 of the QB Spotlight podcast, just a big quarterback hub. We talk all things quarterbacks, and we got an awesome guest on today. Former Notre Dame Florida quarterback Malik Zaire, who does a lot of awesome stuff, and I don't want to butcher everything that he's doing. So if I mistake anything, Malik, go ahead and correct me, dude. But former quarterback, like we said, Notre Dame in Florida, and now he runs the Lucky Lefty podcast. He's a CBS analyst. He just heard talk about it, a real estate fund, the Zaire family that he runs, and that they do a lot of stuff with Notre Dame athletes, alumni from Notre Dame, and he works for Overtime Sports. So definitely have your hands full. But you're doing a lot of awesome stuff, Malik, and you've been kind of keeping up with your stuff since you played and now. So we're super pumped to have you on, man. So yeah, dude, thanks for taking time to come on and hang out with us, man.
Man, that was a great intro. I appreciate that, man. But always, man, anything we talk about quarterbacks, it's a evolving but most critical
Yep.
topic because it's the best position in sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And with you playing at such a high level, and then well, before we get into that, I want to talk about your schedule, dude. I mean, I just mentioned like 18 different things that you do. Like how do you juggle all that, right? I know like it's busier at certain times of the year, but like we were just talking off camera, like the football season is a year round thing now. So how do you juggle all these different ventures that you got going on?
Well, you learn from college and just being a football player, you got to have a schedule. And, the greatest people that are operating are those that stick to their schedule. Like LeBron James has lasted this long because he stuck to his routine. And I think once you are able to do that, you can handle more, but also be organized.
Absolutely, man. And so we mentioned several different things. So maybe let's start with the analyst role that you do with CBS, and maybe take us through just like what does a week look like preparing, and obviously having your background of playing at a high level, helps you break down film and kind of know what to look for. But what's a typical week look like as you're preparing for a game? Maybe give us some insight to what that kind of structure is like.
Man, it's everything that you would do in a normal football schedule, except you're not necessarily lifting on, a routine, but you're preparing the same way. And the cool thing is you got the same coaches meetings, except you're getting to talk to both sides. Usually you're preparing as one side, but you get to talk to both sides, and so you have some inside detail, and you have to gear your questions the right way because at the end of the day you're trying to create a storyline and have narratives and different things that you're trying to convey. So not necessarily everything about the team, but
Yeah.
certain topics in terms of what the team is coming off of or what they're building into. So it's definitely good being able to work with your producers on building storyline for games and instead of game plans. instead of like a top 15 plays, you get the dramatics of missing a player or what this game means
Mm.
and kind of in the heads of both teams, which is a cool thing. And
Yep.
being in the booth is like being a quarterback. It's not
Yep.
a bunch of different people that can do the things that you're doing in the game, but they depend on that to follow the game, especially those who don't know. So a
Yep.
particular week is just consistent of just continually prepare, watching film. You gotta be able to hit the meetings. I mean, you got a lot of meetings preparing for it,
Yep.
especially on the TV side of things, and then just being able to have a good relationship with your partner. Your
Yep.
partner is, yeah, it's like your tennis duet player. So y'all got to play off of each other, having a strong relationship makes it look better on camera. So,
Yeah.
a lot of it, the preparation is similar to playing quarterback, but you just get to convey it in a different way.
Mhm. Do y'all like for a Saturday game? Do y'all fly up on Friday and do all that prep work? Do y'all get there earlier, or is it typically a day before the game?
Well, you do some prep meetings with some of the times the coaches don't want to meet in person, but you
Okay.
you strive to meet in person. So when you go like 2 days early, like or the day and a half early, when you get there, you go through to the stadium and you meet with the home team, and then you do some away stuff at the away team's hotel. They'll have like a meeting room set up. So it's pretty cool being a player and remembering having to meet with the TV
Yeah.
people in the hotel. And now I'm the TV people they're
Yeah.
meeting with. It's just kind of full
Yeah.
circle.
That's dope. How much film would you like? Do you say you watch? Because now you're obviously watching film of two teams, two defenses, two offenses. How much film that goes into that as you're preparing for a game?
I keep it the same. You go in your
Yeah.
10 hours, which is twice 2 hours a day. And
Okay.
you look for those, you build your day out in parts. So the first day on Monday, you watch 2 hours of your first and second down, and then you go from there. And then by Friday, you were prepared, get in the mind of what this defensive coordinator, offense coordinator is thinking. So you get your
Hmm.
2 hours a day, get up to 10 hours, and then you do your review and kind of form your questions that way.
Yeah, awesome, man. That's a lot of prep, and I think it's cool, Malik, that you're doing all these things. Now, obviously, we're talking about the CBS right now, but you're doing all these things. I think it's a cool example for any player. But since we're talking about quarterbacks, for quarterbacks to kind of see that there's so many different options once they hang up the cleats and they stop, playing football. And with that said, talk a little bit about the Lucky Lefty Pod. I know they can find that on YouTube, and I'll link it below here in the description here. But what kind of topics is it? Mainly football topics y'all going over? I know it's just another element that you're doing along with everything else. But how often do y'all get on there? What kind of topics are going? And again, I'll link it below.
Yeah, it's good media practice, I think, because we shoot every 5 times a week,
Okay.
throughout the weekday. It's covering Notre Dame, mostly Notre Dame coach, Notre Dame football. We
Cool.
have, Fridays where we talk about outside of that, just more on a news basis. But it's just a fun way to stay connected with the fans and
Yeah.
build a fan base. We still have connects to the team, so being able to be a podcast that has so much to cover from a team standpoint, Notre Dame
Yeah.
has a lot going on. Just became a niche, and then a strong following considering I played there, so it just helps in that
Right.
aspect.
Awesome. Is it just football content for Notre Dame football? Is it just everything Notre Dame?
It's mainly football, like I'll say 90%, and then we talk about other things happening uh, in the sports arena that it affects Notre Dame, or if the basketball team is doing well, we'll cover that. Just general
Yeah. Yeah.
Notre Dame culture.
Awesome, dude. And then, man, I want to keep going into the real estate fund a little bit, just how you got into that, and then I do want to talk about overtime sports. So since we're talking about more media and sports stuff right now, maybe you can share with everyone who, if they don't know, what overtime sports is and kind of your role and kind of what's been going on with that as of late.
Yeah, so overtime, I used to do the overtime. That was more of a year and a half ago when they
Okay.
were more focused on media talent. Now they're like sports leagues and stuff like that. So that was before they obviously became what this is like a lightweight ESPN in a sense
Yeah.
digitally. But it was cool to see that growth and where they wanted to expand, kind of where the social media was and meet that with sports. And I think they've done a great job, and it's clearly trickled up into having their own basketball league, which I think fit
Yeah.
the correct progression of where things are going.
Awesome, dude. And last thing before we kind of dive into some more college football day stuff, you mentioned the real estate fund. How did you get into that? Because I think a lot of it's just another good option for guys to know about once they're done. Like, what was the pathway and what kind of led you into kind of getting into the real estate field?
Yeah, I ran into some guys through the Notre Dame connection out of New York that run a 360 Sports X. They're a company out of New York, a small office that helps uh, create athlete funds and transitions, basically uh, uh, encompass your business all into one and uh, structure it in a family office way to where you can do some different things and promote your businesses. And
Yeah.
it's a really good company I got a chance to connect with. And we have some different, I have a family office, and within that
Yeah.
family office, we have different funds. And one of them is a real estate fund we've been working on. And it's been going pretty good, man, trying
Yeah.
to use the network of athletes, and especially being at Notre Dame, the wide range of
Mm.
people that we have to connect with to kind of build into a fund and it make it a lot
Yeah.
easier putting a face to it. So
Yeah.
it makes sense and is just another field where you have to prepare and have
Yep.
some good deals and connect. So
Yeah.
kind of how I feel on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's super dope. Again, I think it's super dope. You got so many different things going on. And kind of last question with these topics: do you like when you're scheduling out your week? Obviously, you have a lot of different things going on. Will you be like, hey, I'm spending 2 hours with today on my game film, I'm spending 2 hours with the real estate fund, another 2 hours on the podcast? How do you structure like the time during the day when you have three or four different kind of ventures that are going on?
Yeah, some things are long term, some things are more immediate and prioritized. So you just kind of go with uh, kind of the scheduling of how things fall according to what's next. So sometimes it can be just meetings and calls that can be weeks out that you got to look at some things from a in season perspective is a little more uh, specific in terms of being on deadlines. But
Yeah.
other than that, you just try to stay active and be excited about, finding new ways and strategies to get things done. So it's never a day where you're necessarily taking off, more so maintaining and being creative
Mm.
and when in the entrepreneurial space, always trying to
Mm.
find the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing you can probably attest to this, and it happens to me all the time, but it's hard to turn your mind off, right? Like it's always racing. Like if someone could tell me how to turn my mind off, I'd probably pay a pretty penny for it. Um, but with that said, let's go ahead and move on just a little bit to kind of the quarterback college football landscape right now, right? You have all these different things going on from obviously the portal, NIL, but realignment. There's a bunch of things going on all at once, and it's admittedly over my head. I can't speak very well to it, but you have a really unique perspective playing, at a high level, and now covering it. So I'm interested to get your thoughts on how, if at all, this will impact the quarterback position with all these different things going on, right? You've heard of people say, okay, it's going to be tougher for the high school quarterbacks to come in and start because of the transfer portal. So I'll let you kind of take it away in a broad stance here. But just your thoughts on how the current landscape in college football and all these things that are changing, how it's going to impact the quarterback position from a pros list, cons list, whatever it may be. Just your thoughts on the overall kind of landscape and position of it.
Yeah, I think the transfer portal helps, but I just don't think it's a long term solution for coaches that are trying to be at schools for a certain period of time. Just because you need to be able to to show development within your program.
Yeah.
So I don't think by taking 1 or 2 year guys leading on that is going to puts a coach's mind at ease at all, because you just can't get a good grasp of development over time. Plus, it's not a long term solution. So
Yep.
I do think that in a sense it might affect high school uh, recruiting in some aspects. But as you look right now, there's not a bona fide number one or two quarterback in college football next year. It's a bunch of
Yep.
unproven talent, some old heads in there, but nothing
Mm-hmm.
of what Caleb Williams, Drake May, where you just know before the season start who's going to be coming up. So right now it's kind of like a wash of a bunch of guys that have shuffled the deck and moved to different places, and now they're 1 year, 2 years in and trying to make a name for themselves, which I think it evens out a lot the landscape of college football, because usually the best quarterback dictates kind of the flow in which the team goes. And so having all things pretty much even outside of maybe Quinn Ewers, who I think is pretty good. But I mean, this last year we went through, I think we've seen a lot of talented individual quarterbacks that are going to the
Yeah.
league. You know, from the Caleb, the Drake, the Jaden Daniels, even Spencer Rattler, who I think is very talented.
Yeah.
Right now, you get in college football, who are you really expecting? So I mean, I do think that. I mean, I think we've seen enough of Dylan Gabriel. He's about 10 years in. You know, I don't know how much you're excited to put that as your,
Right.
you know what I mean? So I think
Right.
somebody will
Right.
pop,
Yeah.
obviously, but having that has been so transferable, I think
Yeah.
you're going to find a lot of nuances that you probably can't put a finger on. You know, how college basketball at
Yeah.
this point is so random. I
Yeah.
think college football is falling into that same bucket of you might see San Diego
Yeah.
State in the championship one year just
Right.
because the playoffs are in stake and a team gets hot late. You never know.
Do you think that we could be getting back to a point, maybe like, again, it's over my head, but in a few years, if there's contracts and people have to stay at schools longer, where maybe quarterbacks are now going to schools to truly develop now, like maybe when you were getting recruited, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were recruited or even before then, like quarterbacks were kind of used to sitting for a few years and taking over, right? Whereas now it's like, in their mind, they want to kind of start real quick. And if they don't start within the first year, then maybe look to the transfer portal. So do you think if some structure comes into place, we could get back to where, hey, the quarterback's okay sitting for 2 years because he's getting developed and he's learning the system, and now he's able to learn, as opposed to not starting for a year or two and transferring? Do you think we could get back to that point where development becomes more of a priority, if you will? Does that kind of make sense?
Heck yeah, I mean, you look at
Yeah.
Carson Beck. He sat for 2 years,
Yep.
and now he won a championship and bought a Lamborghini Urus in college. So
Yeah.
that's the perfect ideal situation that you
Yeah.
want to be in. And it
Yep.
shows that, yeah, I just think it's just going to be variances and nuances in the landscape of
Yep.
college football where you'll see guys pop up out of anywhere now, as opposed
Mhm.
to just the automatic schools, especially with these all-time great coaches retiring. So yeah, you may have a career like Will Howard where you keep going to top programs and not playing, or you can be a top guy going in and sit a couple years on
Yep.
a team that's just super freaking stacked, and then when it's your
Yeah.
turn, you make your job easy and you get a Lamborghini Urus, and at 20 something years old. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
NIL just makes it more of a business level, which I think is cool because
Yep.
you saw who was it? The one school just declared their students as employees, so their
Mm.
athletes as employees. So I think they probably want to stay away from the players unionizing, but also
Yeah.
try to put in a position where it can be a fair enough system. Because in reality, we're only talking about a handful of guys with these opportunities anyway. So it doesn't
Yep.
really affect the entire landscape. It's just the possibility. It's just
Yeah.
exciting. So
Yeah.
I think it'll even itself out eventually.
Yeah. Mentioning Carson Beck, I think a guy who may be similar, maybe Garrett Nussmeier, right? He sat for a few years, and now he should be the guy at LSU, and he could have, hopefully, in his mind, a potential breakout year because of sitting. Do you see any other quarterbacks right now that come to your mind that you're just like really looking forward to watching? Whether it's guys that you've seen in the past that are coming back, or maybe new guys who are taking over who you're excited to watch play in 2024.
Yeah, I think every guy at Notre Dame I'm excited about. Especially seeing Riley Leonard and
Yep.
and
Yep.
and just the room itself. I think has a lot of potential with Kenny Minchie in there. Big fan of Kenny Minchie.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, like I said, it's just such a even playing field with this quarterback draft
Yeah.
class. Probably isn't as strong as it's been since probably the Deshaun Watson years moving after that.
Mm.
So I mean, it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see who pops, but it's open to see. You got
Yeah.
Nico
That's a good.
Imavula out of Tennessee.
Yep.
You got
Yep.
Jackson Dart. I think is going to have a
Yep.
chance to do something. But you got Jalen Milroe, and you got. I mean, you just got a
Mhm.
different. And
Yeah.
all these guys have major flaws, which is hilarious. There's no
Yeah.
like generational talent you're excited about necessarily, but
Right.
At the same time, that makes it good for the playoffs where you can put your money on anybody. You can
Yeah.
see where coaching really comes in, but also, players that can prove how good they can be lasting 16 games, how long it'll be to get to the championship.
I want to touch on Riley Leonard just for a minute. Just interested to get your thoughts. And when you watch him on film, right, you see just like a freak athlete, strong arm, all the good intangible stuff, right? Whenever you're watching him, like what gets you excited for Riley Leonard coming to Notre Dame, and the fit in the offense, and maybe just kind of give us a minute or two of your breakdown of Riley Leonard. Again, probably one of the top quarterbacks in the portal. I know Notre Dame fans are super excited about him. So just like your thought process of your film breakdown when you watch Riley Leonard.
Just more excited for his opportunity to come to a place that has ample resources and at a prime position to win a championship the easiest schedule of all
Mm,
time that Notre Dame has ever had at the peak roster talent. It's just, it's no way he does it if he's what he says he is, not be in New York by the end of the season, just because of all
mm,
things included. So if
yeah,
you're halfway decent, there's
yeah,
no way you're not in the playoffs. If you're halfway decent, there's no way you're not in the 40, the 4,100 mark in total yards. It's just no way
yeah,
you're not. We got
yeah,
all the transfers you need. Defense is
yep,
good. Schedule is super, super, super light.
mm,
I mean, you got 9 home
yeah.
games. How do
Wow, wow. I did not know
we got,
that.
yeah, we got 9 home games. And the first and the last game is our away games. It's like what are we talking? Like this is a gift.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you got to
Yeah.
take
A lot of
advantage.
excitement. Yeah.
So
Do
yeah,
you go back for many
it's like
games?
less about even him. It's just more about
Yeah.
whoever plays that quarterback spot this year in particular should have a Washington type of season. Like we should be
Wow.
all the way. Like we don't even
Yeah.
play a team that I don't think is, it's just that crazy.
Yeah. Man, I have to look up the schedule. Are you able to go back to many games? Do you make any home games?
I mean, I definitely can this year. I mean, so many are in South Bend. It's not like I have to fly to many other places. So,
Yeah.
um, definitely. I mean, but then again, even the tickets for the games are crazy. It's
Yeah.
$60 to get into some of these home games. So that's how you
Yeah.
know that this season should be a slam dunk for
Yeah.
Riley Leonard in one year. sixty
That's
dollar
awesome.
tickets at a college football game. That's crazy.
Wow. Wow. Man, that's awesome. That's exciting to look forward to. I know Notre Dame fans got to be pumped. I'm like, I do want to spend a few minutes just talking about some of your playing career and some recruiting stuff before I get you out of here. Again, you've been so generous, excuse me, with your time. Um, but I want to talk about if you have a favorite game or a favorite play that sticks out from your career that you could kind of walk us through. If it's a play, maybe kind of take us through some X's and O's, maybe what your read was, what the defense was doing. Just kind of dive into some ball talk here for a second, if any comes to mind.
Yeah, probably my first passing touchdown to Will Fuller against
Mm,
Texas at home. In the red zone, it was a mesh concept out of 2 by 2, inside guys crossing underneath, and then the dig from the outside receiver, which was Will. Then
mm,
you had a short side post. The running back runs to the field flat and get the high low on the nickel. They were running cover two, so linebackers bit up on the crossing routes, hit the dig behind the middle linebackers, splitting the safeties. Hit it on time right before the hash, because anything crossing the hash, the safety's going to be there.
mm,
14 on the button, so 2 yards outside the
mm.
hash. Hit him on time. Touchdown play. It was pretty exciting.
That's awesome. We'll strike up the band there, and then also getting recruited. You got any crazy recruiting stories you can share? I know recruiting's changed so much, but still, recruiting was crazy back then. It's crazy now. But any crazy recruiting stories that come to mind that won't get anyone in trouble?
Man, honestly, mine was pretty solid, man. I got a chance
Yeah.
to probably decided pretty fast. Uh, you get recruiting stories like, it's you or this guy commit. I don't know, y'all both go, whoever takes it first got it, and the next guy to go on. So I think some of that puts some pressure on you because you want to have some of those schools at the end, but sometimes it's like that, man, and so you
Yeah.
gotta take advantage if that's what you want. But nothing to what probably it's like now. I mean, they paying kids to go on visits, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah.
5 stacks just
No.
to go visit, not even an official visit, just to come look at us. We give you $5,000. So I'm excited for my kids and the future. Being a part of that. But I think we set a good foundation before
Mm.
that became a thing.
Yeah. Did you have any pregame routines or a specific playlist that you listened to, or just some type of like superstitions before going to the game?
And honestly, pregame's boring, man. I just did all the warm up stuff. Got to more psychological than anything. You just prepare
Yeah.
yourself, but nowadays it's just too long, man. Like, good grief, let's
Yeah.
get to going.
Yeah. That's funny, man. What about last thing? We'll get you out of here, Malik. What advice do you have to younger quarterbacks like in this generation, guys who maybe aren't blue chip guys, but guys who aren't JV guys either, right? Guys who are maybe, let's call it like borderline D1 guys, like guys getting recruited. What would your advice be to those younger quarterbacks coming up?
Man, you don't need a trainer to feel like you're getting better.
Mm,
It's about reps. It's about going out by yourself before you start going to a trainer. I just think it's been too convoluted that kids don't practice by themselves or
yeah,
throw with their homeboys by them. So I got to get a
yeah,
trainer. I just think that doesn't make you a good football player in the long run.
mm,
But other than that, go to the fit, man. Go to the place that wants you to play as soon as possible. It doesn't matter if you are 5 star or 1 star. Go to the fit. Fit is 80% of the battle because if you
yeah,
can't get on the field, it don't matter.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you're a
yeah.
really good
Facts.
dude. Go somewhere they say you can play day one, and they on your team. They're not doing no funny business. And then after that, it's up to you. So
Yeah,
fit is most important, and then train all the time. But just you don't need a quarterback
yeah,
trainer.
yeah,
It's
yeah. No, I hear it.
it's,
That's
it's
a
kind
good
of
word.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds, yeah. Sounds like that's been your mind. But you can go out and throw it without having someone to tell you what to do, huh?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
you're not validated by getting a trainer.
Right.
Most guys don't get trainers professionally until they like want to work on something little. When you're
Right.
8, what do you need a trainer for?
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, nowadays you gotta think about it because you're getting paid in high school now. So,
Right.
but still, to even have a trainer at such a young age, and you gotta think, okay, am I going to be 43, going from 8 to 43 years of playing football? Like, no, like,
Right. Yeah.
play, be a kid, and then 15, 16, take it serious. You know what I mean? Because I
Right.
just think it's too hard to take it serious at 7, and then you're
Mm.
25, and then you're like, damn, I'm stressed out, and then
Yeah.
so it's just a lot.
Yeah. No, I get it. There's definitely a time and place for it, but when you're a kid, go spin the rock, and you'll develop somewhat naturally. So I
Yeah,
definitely.
you try to go to these. It's just so stupid now. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great hustle if you're the trainer,
Yeah.
but man, just I didn't grow up because then you get into this whole thing where guys just look the same, and it's a social media entertainment thing now, and it's just
No.
it's not
I, g-
original.
I get it. No, I definitely get it. Yeah. Especially when you're, like you said, 7 years old. Sometimes it's good to go and just go play catch with your friends. So that's a good work, Malik. Well, man, we really appreciate you having you on, dude. Thanks for your time. If you don't mind just hanging out for a second after I end this, and we'll get you out of here. But again, thanks for coming on, and I'll link all the socials and everything that you're doing below. Yeah, thanks for your time, Malik. And again, if this is y'all's first time watching, then thank you. And if not, just please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, all that fun YouTube podcast stuff. And we talk quarterback stuff all the time. So we'll see you next time. Peace.